guys, welcome to the Central Podcast, where we unravel the stories behind the fragrances we love.
Yes.
I am Bernie from Heavenly Scent Trail, and with me today is the man, the myth, the legend, Chris, also known as Fragrance Overload. How you doing, Chris?
What up? We are doing great. We are excited to be back for another episode, another installation of the Central Podcast, and I can't wait for us to dive into what we got for today.
Yes. What did you think of that last episode?
Like we mentioned, man, it was a muy caliente, very spicy, type of conversation, but it's one that's well needed. And I can't wait for this conversation as well.
Yeah, of course. And so today we are diving into part two of a spicy topic that is shaking the perfume world.
Yes.
Dupes, dupe fragrances as we know them. These affordable, inspired by fragrances are flooding TikTok, Instagram, social media, and they are pretty much challenging the luxury giants, companies like Creed and all these big companies like PDM. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about everything today. And we're also going to be testing, dupes versus the original.
Yes.
And so, but I do want to recap. In the last episode, we mentioned that renowned perfumer, Francis Kurkdjian, who is a highly respected perfumer.
Yes.
And he's been in the business for a long time.
Very long
and
time.
he has a right to say what he says. He's an artist. He said this, Chris. He said, fragrance duplication is a creative insult and a form of intellectual property theft.
Yep.
And he said it, and he was very, very, upset about it when he said it. And we heard last week that Mr. Cologne said, he's an influential member of the fragrance community. For you guys that don't know him, he said, much respect to the people who review cologne fragrances, but that is not my lane.
Yeah.
And he said, respectfully, you'll never see a cologne review in his channel. He goes on to say, Chris, that he's here for artistry, craftsmanship, and originality. He's about honoring the creators who put soul into scents. So what do you think about all those comments?
All of the comments, and I remember the post because I think somebody was like something, a negative response, like, hey, that's a very, dumb take or something like that's what they posted or, about what he said. And I just got to say, you are not forced to watch the man's content.
Yes.
And he stands very firm on that.
Yeah.
And he has the right to, because as creators, that's what he's bringing to his platform.
Yeah.
And so, the comment section on those videos or any videos that talk about dupes, oh my gosh.
Blew up.
Man.
Yeah, there's definitely a debate going on social media, as you saw. And even when you posted that video, I was just amazed at all the comments that were coming. People for dupes, people against dupes, and then people in the middle for both. And so I think there's definitely a debate going on in the community.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that we're, diving into it because we want to find, maybe there's a solution out there that we can find. Maybe there is, a line that, we can all meet. But yeah, it's definitely something that is getting my attention, is getting your attention. Now, I want to just read you this quote. Tell me what you think. The quote is this: imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. What can you say about that quote, Chris?
You know what? I agree to a certain extent. Okay. And the reason why is because when you're being imitated, that means you're a leader, you're a trailblazer, you're doing something that everybody else wants. You're doing something that people say, man, that is just fantastic. We're going to use that formula to be successful. However, as an artist, when you are imitating my work and then passing it as your own, and then now you're basically becoming my competitor rather than someone who is flattered to be able to say, man, I hold you in high regards. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
At the end of the day, this is really a business about money, and it's about really going out there and, having a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And you actually, with fragrances such as dupes, when there's 1 million dupes of your fragrance out on the market, that fragrance, the OG, loses value.
It does.
Because people feel like, oh, well, we can get that DNA anywhere.
Yeah.
So I can understand when you are a Francis Kurkdjian, when you are a master perfumer, someone who's world renowned for what you're doing, the frustration.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, these luxury brands, they invest years.
Yeah.
You know, they invest years and millions of dollars in research and development. You know, they're paying chemical engineers to come in and a lot of times, you know, to create a lot of these formulas. And then you have, you know, one of these dupe companies, they decipher everything, you know, using techniques that reverse engineer everything. And so that could be very frustrating, you know, for the artists. And so, you know, I feel for them. But at the same time, I also feel for the people that cannot afford these fragrances. Some of these fragrances are just way out of range, way out of range. So, you know, what do we say to those type of people?
You know, what's crazy, I remember my own personal fragrance story, right? When I first initially started to get into fragrances, I look at the prices. I said, oh my gosh, these prices are astronomical. This is ridiculous. But as I began to look at fragrances, then more than just a scent, started to look at the fragrances as something that is a story, something that is out there. Somebody is sharing their life work with me. Then I started to realize that what the quality is worth the price. And so that right there is something to me that sticks for a long time. But there's some individuals right now. And mind you, when I first started to get into fragrances, there were not these amount of dupes that's coming out every week. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and the fact is, I know there's some potential creators who are out there, some young individuals who probably want to start their, you know, fragrance journey, and they want to say they have a lot of fragrances. So what do? They pick up a whole lot of dupes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, to make their collection look big. And so really, again, it's back to that quality over quantity type of, you know, conversation we were having earlier.
Yeah. So, Chris, I wanted to ask you real quick, you know, what do you think of fragrance influencers where, mind you, a lot of these, and I'm talking about the big fragrance influencers. I'm talking about those people that have over 100,000 followers, where before they would not even touch or talk about, you know, dupe fragrances. And so what has changed? Why are they talking about dupe fragrances now?
I think more than anything, two things. One is the dupe houses are flooding them with these things.
Oh, yeah,
You know, they have deep pockets. You know, when you're getting gifted certain things, you know, you're kind of put in a situation where you're like, okay, I have to talk about them.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. But secondly, the reason is the algorithm. Whether it's TikTok, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube, you can go on and on, go through different creators, take your time, and I promise you, about 50, 60% based on the platform you're on, is going to be talking about dupes.
Yeah.
Because that's what's popular. That's what is getting views. That's what people want to hear about. You know, so if you look at some of the most, you know, highly, not requested, but viewed videos on fragrances nowadays, I'm sure in top 3, dupes is mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people now, they want to get big. What do? They talk about dupes. And nowadays it's so sad. There is literally dupes for everything. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made a dupe of Calvin Klein's CK1.
For real, for real. That is the truth. And, you know, I for one, I mean, I don't talk about dupes. I mean, there may be a time that I'll mention one here and there. And when I talk about them, you get a lot of likes.
Yeah, all the time.
And so that's tempting. I'm like, wait a minute, I should talk more about dupes.
Exactly.
If you want to get more like, but you know, I'm for like, you know, no, I like original fragrances.
Absolutely.
I'm here for the originality. I'm here for the craftsmanship. I'm here for the artistry.
Yes.
I'm here for the stories. I mean, the story behind these scents.
Yeah.
And but that's my approach. If that's your approach, then you probably will never own a dupe.
Yeah.
Now, if your approach is, I just want to smell good, I don't care what the story behind it is or what, you know, then you'll probably, you know, get a dupe.
Very true.
But yeah, I think what's happening is phenomenal. I think, you know, it's an argument, it's a debate that definitely needs to be had. And as a community, we need to talk about this because it's a fire right now.
Yeah, of course. And both sides have really good arguments.
Yes.
Because I can empathize with the individual who can't afford, you know, to go ahead and get niche fragrances. Because at a certain point, I was there.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, man, you know, I can't afford to go ahead and do that. But one thing that I always lean back on is because I was exploring fragrances, always to love and to know the stories, you can always decant. You can always get samples.
Yeah.
So you could test them out on yourself. If you don't feel like, hey, you know what, I just don't want to go ahead and blind buy, you know, this $400 fragrance. sample.
Yeah.
You know, that's a possibility for you. And so I feel like there's ways around it. But then again, I think about the society we're living in. People want instant gratification. People don't want to just, you know, have that little small sample bottle, 2 ml or 3 ml. The people want to have full-fledged bottles and then pass them on as actual, real OG fragrances. Sir, ma'am, we know that's not Althair. Yeah. We know that's not Althair. Stop saying it is. You know, but that's the kind of situation we're in.
Yeah, and one thing people may not know this, and our viewers may not even know this, but I want to let you know, our viewers, that you can go to a department store,
yes,
and they will gladly hand you a free, decant of whatever fragrance you're testing.
Correct.
And people don't know this, and I learned this when I became a content creator. When I started to, really get into this, I met people in department stores. They'll be happy, to give you a decant.
And all you have to do is ask.
Yeah.
And something that's very important that I really want our audience to also know is oftentimes people correlate, Middle Eastern brands with duping.
Yes, yes.
And we want to make it clear. Because a brand is Middle Eastern does not mean it's a dupe house.
Yes.
And let me say that again.
That's a good point.
Because a brand is a Middle Eastern brand, it does not mean that it's a dupe house. Because there's a lot of luxurious fragrances from Middle Eastern brands that are their own creation, that smell fantastic, that are extremely high quality, that has those raw materials put into them. And so we want to make that clear for everybody.
Yeah.
Because something is a house is a Middle Eastern house or brand does not mean that it's a dupe. And I think that's a great thing for us to clarify so that everybody could be on the same page about that.
Yeah. And I really think that, we need to, have this debate in the community. And I like, when content creators, talk about this in their platforms.
Course.
My side is, I want the OG.
Same.
Just because, I respect the creativity, like I mentioned, at the beginning of the show. But another thing that we were talking about in the previous episode was, the generational gaps, and we said that, Gen Z, and
millennials,
the millennials, they are really, really vamping up, and getting dupes. But they're mostly on TikTok. They're mostly on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they are really, they wear these fragrances and they want these fragrances. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that is very important for us to know is, when you're, again, gifted these fragrances and when you're, like, hey, I don't want to go ahead and spend $200, $300, $400 on a bottle of fragrance. I'd rather go ahead and get $200, $300, $400 and buy 30 fragrances or buy 20 fragrances. But what we're also seeing now is even the prices of dupe fragrances are going up.
Yes.
So then now we also have to start thinking about, well, why or this or why that? Because what we're seeing now, and I want to say this because I've witnessed it, you've witnessed it, we know it. They are flying some of these content creators out.
Oh man, that's so true. Yes, yes.
I mean, they are giving these guys, these women as well,
red carpet.
Oh, absolutely. They're treating them like royalty.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I, we love being treated like royalty.
We do.
We love dressing nice. We love dressing fancy. So if you want to fly us out, let us know. But
we'll be there.
Yeah,
we'll be there.
Yeah, immediately. But they're doing these things and they're catering to them.
Yeah.
And so they're respecting their craft. And so because they're doing that, and you have 18, 19, 20 some odd, early 20-year-old, young 30-year-olds as well, being flown out, being treated in such a manner like royalty. You're asking yourself the question, man, a niche house never did that for me.
Yes.
I don't even get invited. They don't even send me samples.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I create my content, instead of them liking it and saying, oh, thank you, we appreciate you sharing and reposting it and building relationships with you that way, some of them will say, yeah, nah, that's copyright infringement. We don't want you to talk about our brand. Banned, all of this kind of stuff goes into it, man. These houses are treating these young cats like royalty.
They are. And when you see them getting flown out, you see the reels, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty nice.
Of course.
And so what are they going to do in return?
they're going to promote
they're going to promote the brand. They're going to promote, those dupes.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely, they are definitely getting, they're getting a hand in the market.
Absolutely.
And like I said, they are not going anywhere.
Nope.
Now, I also wanted to talk about technology. Technology is one of those things where, these dupe houses are using, they're reverse engineering these fragrances, to create, these dupes.
Yeah.
Is that unfair? Is that something that is that even right? Ethically?
Ethically and morally, I want to say no. Because, when you put your craft out there, you don't want the guy who's sitting next to you just looking over your shoulder and, copying down what you wrote and getting the same grade that you got, even though you bust your tail to accomplish that. But I think in terms of a business, I think other, maybe not dupe houses, might do the same thing. And we don't want to go too deep into that. I'm just going to drop that there.
Yeah.
So
I know.
You kind of I don't know, you live by something, you die by it too.
Yeah.
Don't be upset if somebody else uses the same thing, and you even have perfumers that are renowned.
Yes.
Who were working on their craft with niche brands, who are now creating fragrances for dupe houses.
That's true. It is so true.
So that
yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack about that one.
There is a lot to unpack. So listen, Chris. So we have some fragrances. I'm gonna just moving on because we're about to start talking about the fragrances we have at the table.
Yes.
And so we have some originals.
Yep.
And then we have some dupe fragrances.
Yeah.
And what I want us to do is in this segment, I want us just to test them out and just get our reaction.
Absolutely.
Because I, for one, I don't have Althair, but I do own this one because this was sent to me.
Yeah.
And so I smelled this one. So I'm just interested to see, how it stacks up, to the dupe.
Yeah. And one of the things we also want to do is we want to say the OG's name, what it's about, but also let you know the dupe's name, and you can even down to the bottles. Sometimes you can tell that, hey, this is a dupe of this particular fragrance. But one of my favorite fragrances from the House of Initio is Oud for Greatness, right? And I've grown such a love for this fragrance after going to a master class with Initio through Neiman's Marcus, and we went and talking about what the scent represented.
Okay.
Talking about why the bottle is different from all the other ones, and it really tells you and paints a story that Oud for Greatness was made for those moments when you needed to feel like it's a moment for greatness for you.
Yeah.
That big interview coming up, that big presentation, spray on Oud for Greatness, the way that it's set up, that it's created, that it's built, it's made to uplift you and to get you to the point where you feel like you can conquer anything. And then we have from Latafa, this is Oud for Glory. And so these are going to be maybe the first two that we go ahead and try on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
You
try
go ahead and spray on the OG, and then
all right.
I'll spray on this one. And then we'll talk about them, and we'll see. Spray the OG first. Two sprays each, smelling, and we'll switch, and then we'll tell our thoughts.
Man, this is one of my favorite Initios.
Yes.
Oud for Glory.
Oh my gosh. When you think about it now, because I know what Oud for Greatness smell like, when you smell this, you'll be like, man, what are they doing?
What are they doing? Let's see. Yeah. Definitely a difference. Definitely a difference. I mean, it doesn't smell bad.
No, not at all.
But quality
wise,
I mean, that one is on another level.
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit more potent, a bit more rounded.
Yeah.
This is, everything blends masterfully.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell This is something that was crafted with care.
Yeah.
Whereas, this one here, Oud for Glory, very same DNA, smells similar.
Similar, yeah.
But you can tell it's a little bit more sharp. It's not as well-rounded.
Rough edges.
Yeah, rough edges around there, you can tell from that. But in terms of the smell, you can say, oh yeah, like you smell it in somebody walking by.
Yeah.
You might say, that kind of smells like this, But when you have them close up like this, man, you can really, going from one to the other, you can really tell like there's a difference there.
Big difference. Wow, big difference.
But then to 18, 19, 20-year-old or anybody really who's not really trying to break the bank all that much with their fragrances.
Yeah.
They say, oh, it's close enough.
Yeah.
And I'm good to go. And that's all that matters for them. So that's something that, we have to also think about because not everyone is us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So next we have, I'm going to have you talk about Althair because this is your fragrance.
Yeah.
So tell our audience about this fragrance and how it makes you feel, why you like it.
Yeah. So funny story about Althair. First came out, I blind bought this.
Oh. I
tell people all the time, don't blind buy. But I blind bought this. Don't do as I do as I say. I blind buying this and I went ahead and the moment I got it off first spray, my wife was in the other room. She said, oh my gosh, what is that? It smells so good. And I said, oh, it's the new Parfum Zomali Althair. Instantly, this became her favorite Parfum Zomali fragrance. This is slightly gourmandy. There's this beautiful vanilla note. Oh my gosh, Bernie. There's this beautiful vanilla note in here that's just creamy, but yet soft, attractive, really unisex. Some people might say it's a little bit too gourmandy. It leans a bit feminine, but in a beautiful cold day or a fall evening, you spray this on and then there's a fireplace. Game over, man.
Yeah,
it's a wrap.
For sure.
So let's go ahead and spray this one on.
So I was going to mention, I want to talk to you a little bit
about Liquid go ahead.
Brun. So this was sent to me by French Avenue.
Yeah.
And brother, this smells really nice. So I was kind of impressed. Again, I have not even smelled that one yet. Not because I haven't wanted to, I just haven't had the time to smell that one. But yeah, so I've heard a lot of influencers out there say,
yes, I've heard that too. I know where you're going.
That this is a 1-to-1 dupe. So let's take it for a test and get our impressions. And we'll be our the judge of that.
Of course. And we'll let you know the truth. We're not here to hide nothing from you. We're not trying to lie to you. We're going to be completely honest. None of these brands are paying us yet. But
not yet.
But we just want to be honest with you and share our thoughts, because this is something that we have a true passion for. So that's Liquid Brun. I've never smelled Liquid Brun myself. But I've heard so much about it.
All right, so I'm going to give you this one.
Let me give you that.
And let's see the comparisons. All right, I'm going to hand this back to you so you can take a whiff of both.
This is not a 1-to-1.
It's not a 1-to-1. No, I don't think it's a 1-to-1.
Yeah, it's not a 1-to-1. But what I can say is it gives you it puts you in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
You can see the similarities.
You can.
Striking similarities, but it's not a 1-to-1. I feel this is a little bit more creamier. I feel like Liquid Brun, the opening is a little bit more synthetic.
More medicinal.
Yeah.
To
as
me
well.
Yeah.
And something slightly minty, like along that line, something along that's what is giving my nose.
Yeah.
And so I get that from it, where this, even off of first spray, that kind of smooth almondy vibe.
Yeah.
That kind of nice, creamy touch to it. Sexy, alluring. I get that from it. But this smells great. Liquid Brun smells great.
Smells great.
But it is not a 1-to-1.
It is not. Listen, guys, it is not a 1-to-1.
No.
Chris and I agree on it. It smells amazing. I must say, I give him credit.
Yeah.
It's a good one, but it's not a 1-to-1.
Not at all.
At least in my book, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
All right. And then,
you know what it is. It's time for this one, man.
It's time for this one. Yep. I don't know if I ran out of strips, but I'm probably going to break this one apart.
Yeah.
And we'll spray one side with, here, I'll let you do Club de Nuit on that
side.
Yes,
sir.
And I'll do Aventus, Creed Aventus on this strip.
Now, I got to tell you, Brun.
Talk to me.
When I got Club de Nuit Intense, man, by Areebah, I got so tired of people talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way. Because I'm like, I love Aventus.
Yeah.
There's no way. So I'm fine. I'm like, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to check it out and I'm going to see. And people always talk about the opening. And something that's crazy is, for me, the opening matters so much in a fragrance.
It does.
Because it lets me know if this is something that I'm comfortable with wearing. Because the opening projects the most.
Yeah.
If the opening is not good, and it's what's projecting the most to me in my nose, I'm most likely not going to have something that I'm reaching for all the time.
Yeah.
So people talk about it. We know what they say about it, but let's really get our thoughts, man. Let's get our thoughts.
Yeah, let's take it for a spin. Let's go 1, 2. And this is Creed Aventus. And Chris has Club de Nuit Intense. Man, I just love this. It's so hard to, I mean, this is just.
And that's the reason why that DNA is so cloned, duped over, I want to say hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Because you cannot miss with that. You cannot.
Yeah. The opening on this one is so smooth.
Yeah.
So smooth.
Here's Club de Nuit.
That's Club de Nuit. Here's this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Such a difference.
Yeah.
So Club de Nuit is just harsh. A harsh
it
opening.
Is. Chemically,
yeah. Synthetic. And there's something about it that is just, the opening is just not for me,
Yep.
And so, like you said, like for me, if a fragrance is not in the opening, it doesn't work for me, then, I'm probably not going to wear it, because for me, it has to work in the opening.
Yeah.
And then I think, I can live with it after that. But
yeah. And, one of the things that's very important to remember, or that I remember personally for me with these fragrances, is particularly about Creed. People are oftentimes saying, with Aventus, man, all these different badge codes, they all have smell differently. They all this and they're all that. They're not as good as the old batches. And I get it. But I think any batch of Aventus, to me, I would prefer over Club de Nuit.
Yeah.
Just simply because that opening is not just because it's too harsh, but this opening is so smooth.
It is.
It's so smooth. Like with this one, you start to really pick up on the different notes, but this one really comes off as a little bit too citrusy, too sharpy, too in your face, kind of thing. And not in your face because it's projecting so much only, but like a little screechy even.
Yeah. What a fragrance, man. What a fragrance. One of my favorite. I mean, as you know, the House of Creed is one of my favorites.
Yeah. And
I can talk about it forever. But Aventus, this is still a king for a reason.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, that's our take on these fragrances. And again, these are, very popular right now. And I also wanted to talk about one that I just picked up.
Oh, wait, before we even get to that, let me say this. We want to know your thoughts.
Yes.
Hit us in the comments below. Share with us what you think about the whole dupe conversation. We want to hear that.
Yes.
But before we jump to the scent trail spotlight, one of us, not me, was celebrating a birthday this past week, and we just want to go ahead and wish you, my man Bernie, Heavenly Scent Trail, a very happy birthday. Blessings to you. We hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that God pours out the blessings from above upon your life, and that you can continue to be the man that you are, man. So go ahead and hit up happy birthdays for Bernie in the chat. Go ahead, wish the man a happy birthday. Let him know that you love and you support him. And it's incredible, man. So happy birthday, Bernie, from not just myself, but from my family, from our community, man. We wish you the very best. Now we could go ahead and jump into the Central Spotlight.
Wow, Chris, man, thank you so much. I do appreciate you for those, wonderful words. And I do receive it. And I know that your support and the community support is always there. I received all of your messages, and I see them, and I see you.
Yes.
So thank you from the bottom of my heart, for all the well wishes and all the birthday wishes.
Yes.
And so as part of the celebrations, Chris, I was able to pick up this fragrance right here.
Woo.
This is called Blue Talisman by Ex Nihilo. And man, Chris, I smelled this at Neiman and Marcus.
Okay.
And as soon as I smelled it, it's one of those fragrances where it's like love at first sniff.
Ooh.
And so I said, you know what? I need to pick that up.
Yeah.
And so I'm out of strips, but I don't know if you want to spray it on the skin.
Oh, I always spray on hands.
But
always spray on hands.
Check that out, brother. Check that out.
That atomizer is nice.
Yeah, I want the people to see that.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes. Oh, this is nice.
It is.
And you know what? This is one that I've always been curious about, picking up, because people say it's one that's perfect for spring and summer, warmer seasons. And man, I could pick this up.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Bro, it's nice.
Yeah.
That's a birthday gift right there.
It is. I mean, and I really, really love that fragrance. And you can't go wrong with that, guys.
No.
If you really want to stand out, if you really, want to impress the people around you, if you want to impress that special lady or special someone in your life, that may be an option. So go check it out. It's Blue Talisman by Ex Nihilo.
Yes.
And so, so I'm just very, very happy with that fragrance. And it's luxury. It's a luxurious
it really is.
fragrance. And it's one of those that, it doesn't overpower.
No.
But when you get a whiff of it,
it gets the job done.
It does.
Yes.
And so, so I'm very happy with that. And so, so continuing on, on our topic, about dupes. Listen, guys, we're going to be talking about this. It's going to be another segment.
Yes.
Another episode is coming where we are going to be talking about dupes. And it doesn't end here. So on part 3 of Dupe versus OGs, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this.
Yes.
And so whether you are on Team Dupe or Team OG, listen, there's nothing but love from us here.
For sure.
So we're not judging anyone. You want to, own dupes, you want to own OGs, that's fine. If you only strictly want to talk about OGs, that is fine too. And if you just want to own dupes, it's really your prerogative. We're just here trying to, create awareness and create debate.
Absolutely. And to have a conversation, because that's what we're here for. And it's one of those things that makes the fragrance community so amazing, because we all have different perspectives on different things. Fragrances tell a story, the things that go on behind the scenes about them duping or not duping. This is all love. So we don't want anybody to feel as if, these people, they only talk about OGs or they only talk about dupes. We love to smell good, and we love to make sure that you smell great as well. So that's why we're having these conversations.
Yes, absolutely. So we just want to say thank you to our audience for watching, for sticking with us, and and for learning, because we're learning. This is a learning experience for all of us. For sure. But we want you not only to learn, but we want you to smell good. So that's why we talk about all these different fragrances.
Yes.
We want you to make the right decision when picking up a fragrance. And so I want to encourage you, the viewer, to don't trust our word. Go and check these out for yourself.
Yes, get your nose on them.
Yeah, because a lot of times, you won't know. I mean, we may like something, but scent is very subjective. And so make sure to go to your department store, talk to the the people there, the representatives there, and they will help you out. They will put these on test strips for you, and you can check them out for yourselves. Because that's something I always tell people. Don't take my word for it. Don't take influencers' word for it. Go check out these scents for yourself.
That's important.
Whether you're checking out dupes or OGs, make sure that to test first. Because if you don't, you're gonna get duped.
Yep, absolutely. You're gonna get duped. You're gonna lose your money, and you're gonna be upset. So definitely, you need to check them out. Sample, sample, sample. Those are the 3 rules to live by in the fragrance community.
Yeah. And so, listen, guys, again, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube. We're now on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe. And we need you to spread the word, because without your support, this really doesn't go anywhere. So we need you guys, to fire things up and let everybody know that the Central Podcast is here, and we're here to stay. And we are about, to talk about everything. So if you want to learn a little bit about everything, make sure to stick with us, because myself and Chris, Fragrance Overload, we're here, to talk about the fragrance game, and we're not going anywhere. So stick around, and remember, next week's episode is going to be fireworks. So you need to watch. Stay watching. So until next time, Bernie here with
Fragrance Overload.
So now you know.
Let's get it.
Thank you for watching. Ambassador for a very famous house. And it is a house that a lot of fragrance enthusiasts